favourites are plenty drop by tonight as the possibilities dominate the 360 agenda. So many of the live permutations and combinations revolve around North Melbourne and Adelaide. Crows star Patrick Dangerfield joins us live. Premiership stars aplenty return for the Hawks and the Cats as they spar ahead of the main bout, which is still a fortnight away. And retired Tiger Jake King stops by to share a touching film and play the weekend forecast. I'm Gerard Whateley, he's Mark Robinson. This Thursday night, it's footy from all angles. Hello, Robbo.
Hello, Gerard.
Paddy Dangerfield's issued the challenge. He wants a bit of humour from you tonight.
He did. I know Patrick a little bit. I wrote a column with him and actually interviewed him earlier this year. He's terrific. Patrick, one of the greats of... He is a great of the game at the moment, and he's one of the great ambassadors of the game, I reckon. I reckon everyone loves. How was your Thursday?
Good. Look, the whole week has been dominated by the Ice Bucket Challenge across all walks of the AFL, which is terrific. And the man who is central to it in the AFL circles is Neil Danaher with the motor neuron disease. And as the Eagles undertook it today, Neil was there. And so that's added sort of a touching element to it.
They should have done it to him.
It mightn't quite be the right thing to do to Neil at this stage.
Well, he's in great humour. He's one of the great
This is excellent.
people. This is brilliant by the West Coast Eagles. It must be funny when you choose someone. Like, I noticed the other day Obama had been chosen. I thought, who's the cocky bugger?
I think it was LeBron James.
No, it was LeBron James.
Yeah.
I thought, well, it can only come from LeBron James. Like, if you said, I challenge...
I think some of the footballers chose the Queen.
I don't think the Queen would do it.
No, she into selfies, but into sort of photo bombing, but less so ice bucket.
I think it would be fantastic for the world if the Queen did it. You know,
it's probably got a couple of days to run, and it's been a nice antidote to some of what else has been going in the world.
Because you've got it, yeah, no doubt. Great point. There's no doubt you've got to challenge people who either look ridiculous or you don't expect them to do that sort of behaviour, and that's why Gillen went after you, and that's why if the Queen did it, George Bush did it, for God's sake.
Yes, yeah, cool.
Charlie Sheen did it. Did you see Charlie Sheen?
I haven't seen Charlie.
You know what he did? He tipped a bucket over his head and it was cash. And he said, don't worry about the water. He challenged all these people to give $10,000 cash to people who can afford it.
Charlie's been missing for a while.
I want him to get back in, so I want to get him back into who you rather be.
What are you looking forward to, Robbo?
I'm looking forward to so much this weekend, but I'm going to go at an individual one here. I'm looking forward to seeing Ash McGrath's final game and how Brisbane treats Ash McGrath. Ash McGrath's the final piece, I suppose, of that glorious three premiership era. He's the final player on the Brisbane list, and he's been a fantastic player. Has he been an all-time great? No, he hasn't, but he's just been a really good 10, 12, 13-year AFL player, and he leaves with perhaps one of the great moments in footy history, certainly outside the premiership wins, the greatest moment of Ash McGrath's career.
And he's got to move it. That ball kicks to the bullseye. Mark is taken by Adcock. Adcock hand pass to Zorko. Zorko's kick needs to be marked. Where's this gone? Quick in the centre. 5 seconds. Brisbane need to score. Quick kick and mark. McGrath's taken the mark. The siren's got to go.
Handball to Zorko. McGrath takes the mark. It'll be a kick after the siren.
Ash McGrath comes in. It's on its way. It's there. The miracle on grass. The Brisbane Lions have kicked 8 goals in the last quarter.
52 points was the lead for the Cats. He'll kick from 55. He bombs it long. He bombs it strong. Brisbane have won after the siren. He's 52 out. Launches. It's straight. It's high. Brisbane has stolen this game from the Cats. What an amazing win. One of the best in the history of the club.
That is so great. All you want from footy is a premiership and a defining moment. He leaves with both.
Don't think Josh Hunt would be happy seeing that about 8 times.
It's on the review and every time thereafter.
Oh, God. What are you looking forward to?
I've got one of these weekends where life must intermingle with football. It's one of my best mates' 40ths. on Saturday night. So Mike's having a sit-down banquet at home. And I'm a bit toey about it because in such a formal environment, I don't know whether there'll be a tally going or not. And as it turns out...
How weak are you? You should demand. You shouldn't even sit down. You should be in the lounge room watching it.
Yeah, so as etiquette and protocol goes, that's a bit of a fail.
Hang on,
but I'm not the only one in this position, as it turns out. This was Tweet the Coach to Chris Scott during the week.
Well, you're asking the wrong question. You really should be asking your wife why she's having her 40th when the Hawks are playing the Cats. It's shocking scheduling, and I think you should hold her to account. So unless she can find a way to organise a big screen at her 40th so everyone can enjoy the game, I definitely think you should be at the MCG.
I love Thursdays. Thursday's fun night. So what are you going to do? You're just going to turn up and sit down?
The first 5 minutes are going to be lay of the land, and so this is...
Be assertive.
Blowing the cover. It's not my party, Robbo.
If it's your brain, it's your life. You walk in and say, I'm watching the game. You should say, who wants to join me? Have the party, go to the TV and let Mike, selfish Mike, sit by himself. That is terrible.
So the Wests are on notice from Robbo, as it turns out.
Mike West.
Shall we?
From?
West.
Where's he from?
Well, they're in... Murrumbeena.
They're a great friend.
Geography is not my special subject. Top of the agenda, all the possibilities that are laced into this weekend, and the certainty that the live ladder will be a regular feature, and the hopes of coaches and players and fans are not only wedded to their own team's performance, but the fortunes of others as well. Central to all of this is North Melbourne and Adelaide, with a little bit of Richmond on the side.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's a really exciting week. I mean, the AFL obviously licking their lips because it's every game it seems like, deciding a spot in the 8.
Yeah, they're playing for their lives. There'll be a hell of a lot of pressure on them, no doubt, but there's pressure on us too. We want to keep our form up, and we thought we played quite well last week, and we want to keep that going.
We've just got to win. The questions have been since about round 5 or 6. It seems like for us, you guys have got to win this week, and you guys got to make sure you win this week. But we do have to win this week. It's as simple as that.
There's been a fair bit of talk emanating out of South Australia that the Crows have got our measure, and the recent record suggests that's true. And we'll really look to apply more pressure to them than is already on them to win, and really try and apply the blowtorch and do what we've done against them in the past, but do it a lot better.
My son BJ is doing the ladder predictor on a nightly basis, I think, so he's got us finishing third by all accounts. So, listen, it's not something I worry about. I just continue to go through, and we've just got to win footy games. End of the day, if we do that, whatever happens, happens.
The old ladder predictor. Just before we cross to Paddy, the Crows and their fortunes this weekend, they can lock it all up with victory. So just have a look at what it looks like if the Crows win. They just nail that down for the time being.
It's going to sound terrible.
St Kilda in the final round.
And they should win. So if the Crows win this week, it's all over. Is it?
It would appear that way, yes, with St Kilda in the final round. But if they lose... There you go. And they might even be 12th on percentage.
Knowing Patrick Dangerfield as I know him and how he thinks, good for footy and Richmond should be in the finals, I wouldn't be surprised if Patrick Dangerfield thinks that Crows maybe lose for the good of the competition.
For the good of football?
So round 23 is alive and well.
Righto, well, you can run that theory past him. Patrick Dangerfield, thanks for letting us into your home on AFL 360.
Thanks, Robbo. Thanks, Jared. Thanks for having me.
It's all a bit snakes and ladders at the moment with the ladder, and I think the question of the last few weeks has been, will they or won't they? I'm curious, are you starting to drive yourselves nuts?
Yeah, certainly. It's been a pretty frustrating last 6 weeks. Win-loss, and so on. But I'm certainly hoping that this week, I suppose the trend continues and we win.
How's your season been, Paddy? Yours individually?
It hasn't been as good as I would have liked. It's been I think everyone's been a little bit inconsistent, and that's what happens when you have the results that we've had throughout the year. But there's certainly areas of improvement that I think I can have, and I'm looking forward to the final couple of rounds.
Brendan Sanderson put on the agenda that you're a banged up player about, I don't know, month and a half ago. How much are we supposed to listen to that?
Well, I get to speak to Sando every day, so I don't need to listen to too much he says in the media. I speak to him pretty closely anyway, so it might just be for you on show, Robbo.
But you're not an excuses player, Patrick. That you don't play in the manner in which you play. You're not an excuse player. Okay, I've never heard you talk about it. But mate, my grandmother who's dead sees you walk off the ground thinking, how in the hell does this guy get up the following week? How difficult is it?
Well, it's all about recovery, I suppose. I've been pretty lucky, I suppose. We've got good knees, and that's more genetics than anything else. But we put a huge amount of time into recovery during the week, and I think AFL footy is becoming more and more of that, rather than being, flogged during the week if you lose a game.
Do you think, I know we've got finals coming up, do you think in future years, Patrick, that you might have to rest your body? Could you go from playing the scheduled 22 games to managing a pretty solid 17 or 18?
I don't think so. I'm not that old. I'm only 24, Robbo. You can cut me some slack, I reckon.
Sorry, mate.
Look, I think there's still times when you need to pick and choose with different contests, and that's something that I need to continue to improve on and get better at. And I suppose there's been stages throughout the year where I haven't exactly got that. Whether it be contested possession or uncontested possession quite right. But it's something certainly to work on.
Are you less explosive, Paddy, at this time of the year than you have been previously or than you'd like to be?
Yeah, no doubt. I think as the season draws on, and we're really lucky this year, there's been 2 buys in the season, which I think has really helped a lot of players, and it's certainly helped me. Come this time of the year, you are more fatigued than you were at the start of the year, that's for sure.
As a collective, so move off the individual, how do you know as a team what you'll bring when you have fluctuated over the recent times in such an important game in Hobart?
Yeah, we've spoken about this a bit. It's really important for us that we start really well. We know North Melbourne are a really classy side, and it's really important that we kick goals early and put scoreboard pressure on, and that's something that we weren't able to do against Richmond on the weekend.
No Boomer, no Daniel Wells. Probably Wells was still, a bit scratchy. He just had his first game back. Certainly no Boomer. When you guys hear that, what do you think straight away? Oh, well, it's just another player out and they'll bring someone in? Or do you think to yourselves, OK, we've got another opportunity to maybe exploit them?
I was really, really, really happy.
I reckon you would be.
Think,
he's all Australian. He's a superstar.
He is a superstar, and he's been a superstar of the competition for, close to 20 years. So he's such an important player for him. You love playing against players like him because he tests you and takes you to the absolute limits. But I'm certainly glad he's not playing this weekend.
Just an aside, Paddy. We've been speaking this week about run with players and do the ball players get enough protection. When you see Boomer do something like that, do you say, God, you bloody idiot? Or do you say to yourself, I can understand the frustration that has been growing within?
I think you can really relate with him. I think, for 120 minutes, the umpires aren't always watching every single move, and you can be getting, hit behind the ball. Your run can be impeded, so you can get really frustrated. So I can certainly sympathise with him that sometimes you just get to a point where you just think enough is enough. I've had enough of it, really.
Have you got a regular marksman when you play North Melbourne?
No, Not really. They're a pretty even side, and they don't tend to run with a huge amount. But we've certainly got to be wary of the way that they move the ball. They've got some really classy players and some players in some pretty good form, so we're going to have to be at our best to beat them.
This game's at Aurora, isn't it?
Blundstone.
Blundstone. Sorry, it's Blundstone sold out. Have you played there before? Has Adelaide played there? And if not, what's the differences? Tell us what goes through your mind when you turn up to a ground where you haven't played a lot of footy on.
Well, I don't think we've ever played there, or the Crows have ever played there. I've played there as a junior, but we'll get there tomorrow afternoon, I think, and have a bit of a run around and get an idea for the dimensions of the oval. But I suppose once the ball bounces, then both teams are playing on the same deck, so, we'll adjust accordingly.
What do you have to do, Patrick? We had Robert Murphy. Do you watch AFL 360?
Yeah, I must say I'm a fan of Bob's Rascals.
Yeah, well, lift, mate. Get into the Rascals. But anyway, Bob was talking about playing North Melbourne last week, and he was talking about how they're a great running team through the middle of the ground, but he was so impressed with their ability around the contest, where I know Adelaide pride themselves on around the contest. So, in a nutshell, where is this game won and lost? And don't say the midfield, but where is this game won and lost?
The most important part of the ground, with the most important players on the ground, the midfield. No, I think it's a good point you bring up. It's a good point you bring up about, I suppose, their method around the contest. That's something that North Melbourne do really well. It's one thing to get in and win the contested ball and the hard ball gets, but you actually have to have that balance, because that's what generates your outside run. When you don't have, all your players inside the contest, you have that real balance where you can actually feed out to the outside runners, generate overlap, and really attack the last line of your opposition's defence. So that'll be an important part of the game of the weekend. I think it's going to be a really good battle for our forwards and their defenders. I think our forwards have been in pretty good form. Yep. Taylor Walker and Eddie Betts are obviously vital in that area, and Scott Thompson's had another outstanding season, so that certainly shapes as a contest within a contest almost.
The key thread at the moment is the possibilities of the weekend and who goes up and who goes down by wins and losses. How aware, Paddy, are you as someone who's part of the competition of what winning and losing means and where it all sits for the finals with 2 to play?
It's been quite a bizarre season, really, hasn't it? I mean, one loss and you could finish 12th, or one loss and one win and you're finishing 6th. For us, we can really only control our own game, and that's the only thing that we're really focusing on. As much as it is beat up externally about where we could finish, all we're focusing on is the game against North Melbourne, and it's everyone always says it, it's the same old answer, but it really is the truth. So it's the game against North Melbourne, it's the first quarter, and for us as players, your first contest you're involved in.
The most important question we're probably going to ask tonight, Patrick, what is that print behind you?
Well, if you type in God's Country into Google or Wikipedia, this photo comes up. It is a photo of Moggs Creek, and look at it, it's unbelievable. It's the most beautiful place in the world.
I reckon about 100,000 people are just about to do that right now.
All right, we want to critique your acting now, Paddy. You're a key part of the Virgin Film Festival, the Adelaide entry, so let's all sample before we give thumbs up or thumbs down.
Give me a big delicious and give me a small.
Well, like all of a sudden, the ball's on the half-wide flank. Rioli picks it up. Oh, delicious from Rioli!
See, not quite. But if it was me, I'd go half-wide. Rioli, delicious.
So everyone just knows.
Yeah. What if Dangerfield burst out of the centre and hit Walker lace out on the run? What would that be?
Well, surely that's got to be centimetre perfect.
Did you have fun doing that, Paddy?
Yeah, we had a huge amount of fun. It was quite funny. Bruce came in and gave up his time, which was brilliant. But we shot everything that we needed in about 3 minutes. He literally came on set and then just went bang. He's the absolute, he's a real professional, and it was good fun to work with.
If there's ever rascalish behaviour, it's rolling Dennis's lines out to Bruce, I think. High marks for that, Paddy.
Well, good luck on the weekend, Paddy. Don't want to put pressure on you, but if you don't play well, Adelaide loses.
No, it's going to be it's all about team this week, Robbo. So the team plays well and we'll get our just rewards.
Good on you. Good luck and thanks for your time.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Patrick Dangerfield with us on AFL 360.
Every footy just loves Patrick, doesn't they? Mm-hmm. He's a funny guy.
Okay,
he's
let's
not playing
get
as good football as he should, though, and I'm glad he admitted that.
Mm-hmm. You want him to be better?
No, he needs to be better. Mm-hmm. He needs to be better. We might look at that another time.
All right, the key changes here for round 22. Let's have a look at the outs as a starting point. And there's a few injuries here that we knew were coming and a couple of fresh ones as well. So Kennedy, no chance has been taken by the Swans. And Bird misses with a knee, which was a little less expected. McAvoy's lost his place for the Hawks and Thomas with the knee for the Blues. Patton and Ward both missed for the Giants, but Davis is there. Grimes with a hamstrings, one of only 3 changes at Melbourne. Harvey and Wells tip out through suspension. Come back to Minson. Heppel for the Bombers with the hands, and McKay misses with concussion. Smeds has lost his place for the Cats, and Dixon with a quad for the Suns.
I think that's your best commentary of the week when you read the ins and outs. Right. It is like you're calling a horse race. And we've got Kennedy and Bird. We'll come back to Thomas, and we've got Patton and Ward and Grimes. We'll get back to him in a second. It just rolls off the tongue.
Will Minson has been dropped.
Minson's the big one.
Yes.
He's the big one. He's had a poor season. He had a really poor first half, I reckon. Then he played, I reckon, 4 games, off the top of my head, 4 or 5 games, a couple of them rippers, 3 of them probably pretty solid. But the Will Minson, the aggressive Will Minson, I don't think we've seen that this year.
No.
And last week, and we could tell when we're talking to Bob Murphy on Tuesday night here, Sunday's performance was bitterly disappointing. You could feel it. You could feel it with Bob, and you could feel it with Brendan McCartney when he was talking. It was a bitterly disappointment, and McCartney's just made a statement. Bang! I'm no one safe. It's not even no one safe. You're not performing. You're not in.
Yep. No
matter who you are.
Yep.
McRae, you're not doing it. You're out. So he's been pretty strong, McCartney.
Okay. Dyson Heppel says he'll only be missing 1 as he arrived at Essendon today.
Oh, a little bit of pain last night, not too bad now, so popped a few endones and it's keeping it on the mend.
How long are you thinking you're going to be out?
No, it should just be the week, so hopefully it'll be no worries for next week, yeah.
What actually happened?
Just in a tackling drill, I think we just swung the arm around and clipped someone's elbow, and it just felt a bit tender. Sort of wasn't too bad after I did it, but was clicking a bit and thought that probably isn't right, so got it checked out.
That's a good self-diagnosis. Yeah. Clicking a bit, not quite right. We need to see him on the ins list next week. These are the key ins for the penultimate home and away round of the season. Set. Away. Roughhead and Sewell are in for the Hawks, and Bartel and Murdoch for the Cats. Hunter's back for the Giants with Lucas for the Blues. Thompson and Rutten will be there for the Crows in such an important match, and Carlisle back from the back spasms for the Bombers. Lacroix in for the Eagles. Chance to put up a big score there. Reece Shaw, good to see him back for the Swans, and Ballantyne. He'll play alongside Walters.
And who are we getting back to?
Dockers. Roughhead and Sewell. Sewell's the key here.
He's key for us. He's a key for himself. He's a key for Hawthorn.
He's played 7 games this year. He's fresh. If this pans out, this could be terrific for him. His body's got to hold together, though.
So you're a glass half full man.
3 hamstrings for the year.
Yeah, it's half empty, half full. They need him. I think Langford's done a pretty good job in filling that kind of role. But I remember last year we were talking to Surley and he wasn't playing that well, and he put it back on us. And I think we got to him. Well, I got to him so much. He actually turned around and said to me, "September's a different ball game." And I thought that's why I love him, because he's aggressive and he knows. Now, he has got to get his body right, he's got to get his mind right and get the match conditioning of bumping and getting up and bumping and recovery. So I hope it goes well. Roughhead missed the week, he'll come back in. They barely missed him last week.
What about the Collingwood changes? Just have a look how heavy this is. There's even an unexpected one.
Can I read it?
Lumumba, please do.
Pendlebury's back in. We love him. I can't read that. Who's the second?
Dwyer.
It looked like Dwyer. We'll get back to Dwyer. We'll get back to Dwyer. We've got White, and he's really important, White. And Thomas is in. He's a young midfielder. We need him. Langdon, our half-back flank. He's had a terrific first season. And Ramsey, don't know much about Ramsey, but I'm rapt that he's in.
And the outs?
Lumumba's out with a knee. We knew that last week because he was limping around. I can't read the second name. It looks like Cloak with an ankle. Ben Reid, God, it went early in the first quarter last week. Beams, we all saw him go off. We're all devastated. Tuvey is out with a groin. And Kennedy's been omitted, the young fella. He's been up for a while, but he's out of the team.
I particularly enjoyed your emphasis on Tuvey. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Nat Fyfe's appeal has been dismissed. I wonder, can he get fined for a frivolous protest in football?
No, come on, don't be a smart ass. They clearly believe they had something.
An error in law.
Yep, they wouldn't do it otherwise. They clearly believe they had something and it didn't work. Now, people are looking at the contest saying he had no hope of getting up. As you noted last night, Jared, they were going on a law interpretation.
So the direction from the chairman of the tribunal was left no other possibility but for the jury to reach the decision that it did, and therefore not open to contemplation. But the appeals board ruled that no such thing, no such breach occurred. So what it means is that Fyfe will miss 2 weeks. His best result was to miss the one.
And 70-odd points carry over.
Yes, and he spoke as he left tonight.
Matt, obviously disappointed?
Yeah, I am, but really happy we exhausted every avenue to try and get off, and decision's been made. I'll deal with it now and look forward to a big final series.
Can you talk us through what happened during the incident and what you were trying to explain up there, or what your counsel was?
I'd rather not. The decision's been made now. I'll just deal with it, look forward to a bit of a training block now, and then, assault the final series. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Let's bring in the fighters. Baz and Cam are here to walk us through the flashpoints that are coming this weekend and what all the possibilities might be.
Awake on my airplane, my skin is theirs. Awake.
Back with another one of those block rocket beats. Back with another one of those block rocket beats. Back. Back. Back with another one of those block rocket beats. Back with another one of those block rocket beats. Back with another one of those block rocket beats. Back with another one of those block rocket beats.
Sounds great, boys.
That's Port Adelaide's entry in the Virgin Short Film Festival. The creative side coming out at footy clubs.
He's got a good voice on him, Pokey.
Do you reckon it was him?
Yeah, it sounded like him.
Surely it wasn't him, was it?
Yeah,
Dunno.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I think it was him.
You were a bit mouthy last week when I wasn't here.
Who?
You.
As I should be. Home sucking on the couch with the sniffles.
Hero.
Who has a week off with the sniffles?
Oh, I wouldn't say bird flu is a sniffle. If it was a sniffle, I would have been in it.
I heard it was swine flu.
I'm all good.
All right, bit to get through. Ash McGrath retired today, Baz, and he haunts you. He haunts you from the preliminary final of 2003. As soon as we said his name to you, you got the tremors.
Yeah.
Third quarter.
I hated him for it. 2003, we were made the preliminary final. We had the week off previously, but...
Where's the game been held?
Up in Sydney.
Right.
Everything was going our way. I think we're leading at three-quarter time. And this was the goal that absolutely killed us. From then on...
Oh, you're 20 down, champ. You're in trouble anyway.
We're in the game. We're right in the game. But this is a goal that absolutely killed us. This is the one that really stuck out for me. I used to hate playing against him because he was one of those players that was... he played in the back line at that stage.
Yeah,
he was a really hard tackler. He was deceivably quick.
He was a bit freaky as a player, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I used to hate playing against him.
Both hands too. He was good talent. Ash,
he was. That was great. I remember that.
That was one goal that really haunted me.
You still horny about that game in Geelong, against Geelong, though.
Oh, it's a great memory.
It was a good one. It was a crack.
They put us in the mind of the power forward, a young man who's shown at the junior level that he's going to be a full forward of consequence for a lot of years, and by the time he's 20 he's had 2 knee reconstructions. This is Jonathan Patton, who's penned a lovely letter to GWS members today, which you can read across the bottom of the screen. How big's the challenge here for him?
Oh, look, it is a big challenge, but look, he's still young. He's still a young kid. 2 knee recos is obviously a shocking way to start your career, Robbo. But we know the talent of him. There's no doubt GWS will give him all the time in the world to heal with it. Will he come back anywhere near what he could be or could have been after 2 knees? It's hard to tell.
Tell us what
I think with today's operations and with today's rehab and today's technology and knowledge, players come back so much better than say when I did mine 20 years ago. So I've got full confidence he will. It's just more the fact that it's now obviously a weak knee and it could probably go any minute. That's the scary thought.
Tell us what happens inside a club when a player goes down. What do the players do, not so much this week, but in a month's time or 2 months' time? Do players go out of their way?
Oh, they would have rallied around him very quickly to make sure that they keep him in the loop with everything they do until the end of the year. The problem is, once the pre-season starts, he's going to go into his own rehab, and it can be very lonely. Yeah. And it depends on if you've got other guys in there or not, but if there's no one else in there, it can be a lonely place, rehab. It really can be. So that's where they've got to be smart. That's where they've got to go out for dinner, go out for coffee or lunch or whatever it is. You've got to keep him inclusive in the group because you can find yourself a little bit isolated at times.
The good thing about it, footy clubs are like family, so they'll be very aware of what he's going to go through. They would have seen it last time when he did his knee. So he'll know what he's in for. But look, I agree. I've heard Rob Murphy last night say that I reckon this can be a real character builder for him. It's going to be a tough time, but I reckon this could benefit him later in his career in terms of mental challenges, mental demons, and getting over some of these things that are really tough for him at this stage for a young man.
You find now is what the clubs will do, they'll bring him into coaches' meetings, line meetings, might sit in the box, all those sort of things. So he'll learn about the game from a coach's point of view, which
makes him a better player.
Yeah, it does. It will. And that's if he takes that on and wants to do that. Some guys don't want to do that. They just want to do their rehab, watch the game of footy in the stands, and that's it. He might be the other way.
Brent Harvey's going through a different kind of agony. He's self-inflicted with a 3-week suspension, and he won't play again unless North Melbourne wins the elimination final. This was his coach, Brad Scott, today.
Yeah, he's disappointed. We're disappointed, but we support him as always. And now we need Boomer to support us over the next 3 weeks and help galvanise the team to get the results that we want in the next 3 weeks, so that he's available and can get out on field and repay us. But we support him, and he accepts responsibility for his actions.
Well, the funny thing is, I was speaking to Liam Picken today, and he said, the incident, he didn't think it was that bad, and it wasn't hurting him or anything like that. He thought it was a little bit stiff as well. But I think the point that I took out of it from today's conversation, he said he wasn't niggling him at all. He just said he bumped him to check his run, and Boomer just grabbed him and slung him to the ground.
He's probably just sick of it.
He did snap a bit. So that's probably telling a story in Boomer himself that he's 36 or 7, and he's probably thinking, you know what, coming to the end of my career, I'm still getting tagged. It's probably starting to get the better of him. That's why that showed to me. That's why that showed to me.
It's been tagged from about game 10.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That to me was just frustration. And he's going to pay the price now, because all he wanted to do was play in another final series with the Roos, and now he's missed at least one game. Who knows what can happen.
Can I ask you a serious question? When you see someone snap, do tend to understand why they did it? Do you tend to look at the person who snapped rather than the person who was on the receiving end?
Yeah, definitely. We spoke about Stevie J a couple of weeks ago, and I understand totally about where he comes from and some of the silly things he does, because I was in the same situation myself, and Boomer Harvey finds himself in those situations. You're a competitive beast. You don't want anyone to have anything over you. And as silly as that sounds, you're going to miss games, you're going to miss the final series for it. You don't think about that at that stage. All you want to do is beat your man and do the best for your... to try and get over your man. And I can totally understand where they're coming from. It's just really competitive, and I can understand where Stevie J comes from. I can understand where Boomer Harvey's coming from. Yeah, it's silly, it shouldn't happen, but I can understand it.
It's funny you say build up frustration. Remember when he gave the 50-metre penalty away a couple of weeks ago when he grabbed was it Geelong fella around the neck? At Etihad, gave the free kick off the ball.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
you know, just those little things like that. It's building. And looking back, you can see that it was perhaps building.
Well, he's probably thinking to himself, like I said, you know, I'm 63 years of age. Just let me have a run around by myself, please.
They can't afford to do that, mate.
As you've seen Paul Roos coach at close quarters, if you were having a guess, what would you think he would be going through at the moment, having taught what he has and just watch it disintegrate in the manner that it is?
Yeah, I think we can see on Paul, he spoke since the game, that he's really disappointed. He had a lot of faith in this group, and yeah, they've let him down, but they've let themselves down as well. They've done a lot of good work. We've seen a lot of improvement in the Melbourne Football Club, but now it's all gone to waste because of one performance. They need to get back on their bike. They need to get back on it quick.
Do you think it's all gone to waste because of one performance?
Well, I heard the show last night and we were questioning what are Melbourne about, so I think so. If we're questioning what Melbourne's about and where they're headed...
They must be doing it.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate for the Melbourne fans, but as I said, they need to get back on the bike really quickly and put that performance behind them and pretty much illustrate to us it was a one-off.
The round starts with Port Adelaide and Carlton. Carlton is proving tricky to anyone they come across at the moment, and the Power they're running out of margin for error now.
Well, I thought a couple of weeks ago Port came back into some form against Sydney. And I said if it was anyone other than Sydney and probably Hawthorn, maybe Geelong, they probably would have won that game. So they would have been in that really winning mentality. They had a nice win up on the Gold Coast in shocking conditions. I think they've got their running game back, and I think they've got their contested game back. Carlton, to me, they are one of the informed teams in the comp, and love the way they're playing. I think they're finally getting what Mick wants out of them, and Wade wants them to play.
What is it? What is that? What has Carlton
it's contested,
been
it's
doing
defensive,
now? Yeah.
And it's just being hard to play against. I mean, that's the biggest thing, Mick. Even when at Collingwood, they were just hard to play against. Even when he had poor sides, they were just hard to play against.
Effort-based?
Effort-based. Don't concede anything, and that's what we're seeing now. And this man coming back in, he mightn't be at his best, Jody. He's not too far off, to be honest. Close. But just having him out there is giving everyone else a lift. You can just see it. And look, their last month's been pretty good. Beat North, only went down to Freo, obviously the Suns, and only went down to Geelong again. So they could have won the last 4 games quite easily.
There's a handful of games where they've lost by almost less than a goal. So if you win those games and you turn that around next season, you play finals. So look, they're not far off. Yeah, they've got to rejuvenate their list and they've got to get better. But Mick's done a fairly good job really with what he's got.
Did you get an invite back to Port this week, mate? Or
no, I didn't.
Bridges now that you had the sniffles?
No, I would love to have gone over there, but I'll be going back. If they play in a final, maybe I'll go back over there.
Only if they're successful. You're on the bandwagon.
I was going to go over because I was going to catch up with Moon after the game.
I don't know how many answers there'll be in Hawthorn and Geelong, but there's one question which is occupying your mind, and that's in the Geelong forward line and who's in the second position alongside Hawkins.
Well, it's funny at the minute. I mean, Kirsten's obviously the man, and I'm glad that he is, because he's going to be an absolute ripping player, this young man, over the next 10 years. But he's playing his 8th game, and are we expecting too much from him?
It's tomorrow's paper, though.
Yeah, look,
not bad, is it?
There's not too much else down there that they can do at the moment. I mean, Walker and Brown haven't come along this year as they probably hoped. Simpson's obviously injured, so they can't do the Simpson-McIntosh role at the moment. I do like Kirsten, but does he look a little bit tired? Yeah, probably does. Does he look a little bit inexperienced at times? Well, he does.
Well,
That's what he is.
He is, and he's tired because it's AFL.
What he has to learn over these next couple of weeks is just make sure that when it's his turn to compete, he just competes. They're not expecting the world from him. He just needs to compete to make sure they have that second role tucked down.
As you see there, all those one-on-ones with Tommy Hawkins.
Yep.
And you say that's predictable and sides are going to read that. But if the forwards around you make their opponents accountable, it's very hard to
Tommy's
peel
going
off.
2-on-1 if they don't. So Kirsten,
it's very
role is to occupy a defender, and he might only have 6 touches and get 3 opportunities.
If his man says, well, I'm going to sit off, he has to make sure that he gets used on the lead. Now, if he does that, he's going to burn his opponent. So then his opponent goes to Kirsten, gives Hawkins his one-on-one. They're very hard. We talk about, it's predictable. They're going to Hawkins. Well, you can't drop off because they're so smart with the ball running through the midfield. If you drop off, they will use their numbers, they will run and carry. Motlop, Christensen, these guys will kick goals over your head.
You got any read on Steve Johnson?
Look, I'm not sure at the moment. Come finals time, I've got no question he'll be there. I mean, this is what he plays for. He plays for finals. I just don't know if they know when he'll be back, but I guarantee you, come finals time, this man will be playing.
Did you return your text from last week?
No, he doesn't return my text. What's going on, Steve? You hate me at the minute. Look, he's a money man, and once the finals come around, he'll be fine.
We got an uppercut tonight?
Baz has got it.
Quickly.
Yeah, the uppercut is Jason Ackermanis.
Ackermanis.
Blast from the past, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But all these short films that clubs are coming up with. This is actually Acker, all dressed up. Have a look at this.
That has to be the worst disguise I've ever seen in my life.
No, when I watched this, I didn't know it was Acker.
Are you serious?
You
didn't know it was Acker?
No, not straight away I didn't. I'm thinking, who's this?
I don't know whether to give Acker an uppercut or the makeup artist.
All right, enjoy your weekend of footy. Jake King's coming in next to share the Richmond film with us. And it's there's some humorous and there's some touching, and this falls into the latter category.
When you get told you're a role model, you don't take much out of it, and you don't really think about it all that much, because we're actually paid to play football, and that's a game. But I guess when moments like this happen, it's a bit special, and you really start to get a grasp on the way that role models should be. Jake King from the Richmond Football Club, and it's my 8th season now. I got a phone call during the week about a little fella by the name of Nate, who's 4 years old, turning 5 on Sunday. Apparently he's a little bit ill. Do you want to come with me to Melbourne? And we'll go and watch the boys play footy. I figured instead of coming over here to try and put a smile on the little boy's face, and Nate, I figured I'd come over here and let him teach me a few things and actually get to know about him and what he's done, and the things that they're going through for himself and his family. Surely enough, we look up on the big screen and Nate's head's up on TV, and they've got a picture of when he was in hospital with a cheeky grin on his face. I said, "You're a rock star, mate, you've made it." And he just, was blown away with it all. He actually couldn't believe it was him. Right then and there, you realise that it was his moment to shine, and I think he did that. You saw the sparkle in his eye, and to be honest, I had to really work to keep it together, because it was something pretty cool for him to start talking about.
It's an abridged version of Richmond's entry in the Virgin Film Festival, and Jake King's central to it with Nate Anderson. Jake, welcome to AFL 360.
Thanks for having me, boys.
It's clearly made a big impact on you, and probably not just you.
Yeah, it was pretty touching when we first heard about it at the club. The amount of people who put their hand up and wanted to actually support or do something or get involved some way, shape or form was just so overwhelming, and the amount of people that came together to make it all happen was, credit to the club, and hats off to all the boys.
I want to put something at you, and I want you to really give it some thought, Jake. Richmond have won 8 straight?
Yeah.
Since Nate was at the club on that glorious day for footy and life, someone has been telling me that you're under so much pressure, Richmond. And Nate came and he was embraced by everyone at the football club, and as if something was lifted off this woe us Richmond. You'd been confronted with someone else's life, and from that day Richmond hasn't lost a game of football. Do you think that's played a part in the mental side of playing the game?
Yeah. It's each to their own. For me, it's had a massive impact on my life, so I can't answer for the other boys themselves. But for me, it was a massive eye-opener. I've had a lot go on in life, and it brought back some memories for me, having lost a little nephew myself a while back. And you realise at times when things become really hard, you know, a simple thing like a 5-year-old boy walking into a room with a smile on his face is enough to actually bring you back down to earth, and reality kicks in. And, you know, we as footballers and people in our jobs get caught up in the moment probably a fair bit too much, I'd say. And when, this story was put to me, I was so overwhelmed and thought to myself, well, what can I do? And you realise football is just a game, and as much as we love playing it, there's a real world out there, and reality sort of kicks in. And, you know, it's something you never wish upon any family to have to go through, but as a player and pretty much as a person, when that's put in front of you, you want to try and put a smile on his face as best you can, and try and do as much as you can for someone just to make them happy.
And if this film was successful in the competition, the money will go to taking Nate to Disneyland.
Yeah, we've all rattled our brain and thought what could we do, and Brendan Gale come up with a great idea to send the family over to the States and send him to what is it? The big theme park they have over there.
Disneyland?
Disneyland, yeah. So send him over there and hopefully brighten up his life a little bit more, because since he's been back home, the doctors just can't get over it, how things have improved and things have gotten a little bit better for him. It hasn't cured anything, but they're saying that the laughter and the happiness is actually, you know, making him take those little steps and go forward.
Whether you believe or not believe, the fact is that unfortunately young Nate's lost his leg.
Yeah, a couple of
weeks ago.
Yep.
But the tumour in his head, I understand, has stopped growing or shrunk. Either one, I know. It's really important. That's what people hold on to. And Nate coming to Richmond and has changed his outlook, I think. And I know a lot of people are believing in a lot of things right now.
Well, it's quite funny. People say, like 5-year-old kid, and you know how much of an impact. Well, I spoke to him the day before he went in for surgery, and I had a chat with his dad, Novak, and I spoke with Nate, and Novak sort of wanted to tell me a story before he went in. I said, what's happened? And Nate actually asked the doctors, because my foot was pretty much buggered through footy, and it's impacted me going into the future. Nate actually asked if he could send down his big toe to help me, so that way I could go on and play football. And this is a 5-year-old kid who, like I said, the spark that he brought into the rooms that day, and you know, the spark he's brought back into my life is just so overwhelming. It's amazing.
It's had an impact, mate. It's had an impact, I reckon.
Play the weekend forecast with us, just rapid fire.
Story,
what's your sure thing, Jake?
Sure thing, obviously, our boys on Sunday against the Saints. So we're going to have the yellow and black out there.
How many? 60? 70?
How many does the G hold? We need as many as we can. So if we can get the 60, 70,000 and get the boys over the line, then I'll be pumped.
Your sure thing, Robbo?
Ice bucket challenge for Michael Voss and David King. I reckon we're going to see some more erect nipples in the war room on Friday night.
Captain Heath for the Giants against the Pies. He'll be giving lip to his old boys. Maybe captains. The most at stake, Jake?
We definitely need the Kangaroos to get up.
You do.
So I think, what is it, playing Adelaide, aren't they?
Yep.
And are they your most at
stake? And my most at stake's Adelaide. And your most at stake?
Buddy, the Coleman's at his mercy. He's got the Bulldogs. He's in the Brownlow running here.
Have you got a wager? Have you got a Coleman into Brownlow?
I don't. Doomsday scenario.
Yeah, well, obviously, if we lose, then...
Oh, can we have anything other than bloody Richmond?
Not at the moment, no, definitely. But if we lose, I think everyone's going to cry.
Well,
we need the fairies tale ending.
My Doomsday's Crows win because that makes round 23 boring.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, my Doomsday is it's the farewell for Dean Cox in the West is that King Cox flops. That would be no good for the Eagles against the Demons. All right.
Now, Jake, thanks for coming in. You know what? You're a brilliant storyteller as well, and I think it's been fantastic for everyone for what you've done in the last 8 weeks, mate. It's been terrific. It really has.
Beautiful. Thanks for having me, boys.
And for Nate.
No, well, yeah, just everyone get on board and obviously, support him and ticket, market, do whatever you've got to do. We need to get over the line.
Yeah, watch the film. It's well worth seeing. Jake King with us on AFL 360. We'll tidy up the week next. Tomorrow night at this time, it's Port Adelaide and Carlton from the Adelaide Oval. All the best of the pre-match, halftime, post-match analysis and the Ice Bucket Challenge in the War Room.
Obviously, the absence. We love having you here, Vossi, but we've got to whack the bloke who's not here, Mark Robinson.
When I come down Melbourne next, I want to go live. I want to smash Robbo.
Where are you? Jesus.
Oh, we've got Dicko in the room.
Well, the only good that's become of this is this room actually smells nice now, but get off the couch, you big mess.
You went down quick. You went down pretty easy.
Yeah, I know. That's what I got home. My fiancée said too.
I probably got sacked about 30 games too late.
Me too. We all did.
Just got to check it's something first, Jerry. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Are you talking to?
It's on delay there. It must be on delay.
I wouldn't be putting him in this Supercoach team this week.
Too late now.
For the Reverend.
Stick your chest out. Good cut glass with those nipples.
Thank you. Now, the dream scenario for the weekend, never mind the doomsday scenario.
What's the
now,
dream
putting
scenario?
all allegiances aside,
Right.
this is what we want. We want Gold Coast to win and we want North Melbourne to win. And this will give us the best finish to a season in 30 years. If Collingwood wins and we set up with 4 teams with 44 and Adelaide might still be favourites to make it from 12th place in the last round.
Righto.
That's what I'm hoping for. Hey, Mike's invited to do his 40th on Saturday night.
Mike?
Are you there?
Mike's got no chance.
Enjoy your weekend.
Mike's got no
See you
friends
Monday.
on Saturday night.